From the moment you caved to the pressure of the crazed media and Tom Corbett to fire Joe Paterno, and allowed Mr. Surma to fire him on the phone, and then announce it, fulfilling his promise he made in 2004. How nice, how wonderful, what a great thing you did. I want to echo the most amazing woman, Sue Paterno, when I say, after 61 years of what he gave to this university, shame on you. What a hell of a thing to do. I have several comments, Mrs. Peets, about your interview in Penn State. You claim that you get it, that the alumni are upset. I don't think you do. You have a 13% approval rate. That's the most abysmal thing I've ever heard in my life. If you truly get it and you're concerned, then why do emails to the board go unanswered? As I say at the end, and Taylor Swift, please forgive me, I am never, ever, ever going away. You said you can't afford to lose the passion of the alumni, but what I think you really mean is you can't afford to lose our money. You claim no one on this board saw the Freeh report, yet before the report came out, key phrases meant to sway public opinion were released. Someone saw it and someone released it. You stated that the Freeh report was written by someone who shouldn't have an axe to grind. Really? Who recommended it? Could it be someone who worked with them in Texas, in the FBI? The same person who was not mentioned one time in the entire report. Of course you accepted it. You came out smelling like roses. You took the easy way out in every way, and you allowed the apparent dictator of the NCAA to be these vile sanctions down upon our school. Sanctions, by the way, for 0 rules being violated, and you just took it because it was the easy way out. You also allowed Delaney to further dump on us, just showing again that it's just the easy way. If any of you had a spine, you would have announced that we're seeking a new conference and get out of the Big Ten, where we've never been more than a money thing for them anyway.
1 minute.
Mrs. Peets, you claimed when you took over this board you would operate with transparency. You and I had extremely differing points of view on that word. I'll tell you that to me it's transparent that the so-called leadership of this university is sad, ineffective, and pathetic. You've proven time again that many of you are liars, cowards, and hypocrites. You hide behind due process so you don't have to speak to someone like Franco Harris, but you never gave due process to Joe Paterno. I would call that a callous disregard. I'm most ashamed of board members who actually went to this university. You've forgotten our very alma mater that says, may no act of ours bring shame, and you have brought shame raining down upon us. I would ask the faculty of this university to go back and revisit the no confidence vote, but I'm sure they won't. So instead, I'd like to suggest that the Auditor General's recommendations be sent to Mark Henry. Maybe he can vacate some of your seats.
Thank you.
Graduate of the Penn State University College of Medicine. My wife, Mary Ann, is a 1988 graduate of the College of Health and Human Development. We've been married for 23 years, and we have 3 wonderful children. My wife was a member of the Blue Band and was at the 1987 Fiesta Bowl game when Penn State beat Miami. One of the first songs my kids were rocked to sleep with was the Nittany Lions song, and I can still in my mind hear her beginning, every college has a legend. We live 6 hours away, but every year, even with babies, we made the drive to State College, to see a football game, and to experience the pride that was Joe Paterno, success with honor football. In short, we were Penn State. But we are no longer. Penn State is dead to us. We are not moving forward. We are not one team. Nice sign, though. And it is not because of the Jerry Sandusky scandal. It is because of your response to it. It has been a difficult year for all of us. We gave you a grace period initially. We sensed you were reeling in November 2011. Anyone would have been. But we were hopeful that you would eventually come to your senses. But we were so horribly wrong. This past year has been a nightmare, as virtually every decision this board has made has defied logic and defined cowardice. What the past year has finally made clear to us, thousands of us, is that we must keep our sons and daughters from attending Penn State. But not just ours, the alumnuses, everybody. You see, if the Board of Trustees were a derelict, corrupt department within the university, let's say the history department, then we could say to prospective students, go to Penn State, but for God's sake, stay away from the history department. But since you run Penn State to keep students away from you and away from your influence, we must keep them away from Penn State. And so know that many alumni are engaged in this effort. We have gone into our local high school's guidance departments and met with the counselors. We have told them that if any students who have an interest in Penn State would like to speak to an alumnus, we would be very happy to speak to them. I encourage all like-minded alumni to get into your high school guidance offices. I would encourage all November 2011 Board of Trustee members to resign and resign now. Step down so that we can really become one team. Step down so that politically driven, media-pressured responses can be replaced with thoughtful ones based on common sense, the truth, and the results of due process. Step down because of your reprehensible treatment of and lack of defense of Joseph Vincent Paterno. Step down so that we can move forward once we've cleaned up this horrific mess we've made. Step down so that Penn State's alumni can do what we've always intended to do. Send our sons and daughters to this university that we so much loved and have so much pride in. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one thing with the football program. Since we knew you would never want unsubstantiated stories such as this to circulate, we would like to request again, as the Penn Staters Responsible Stewardship have before, that you disclose the letter of intent, scope of work, and memo of understanding that you surely must have prepared before selecting Freeh, Sporkin, and Sullivan, and to make public the names of all firms contacted and to produce all proposals received before the November 2011 hiring of Freeh, Sporkin, and Sullivan. As we understand it to be in compliance with the bidding thresholds outlined in the purchasing services under auxiliary and business services, purchases over $25,000 require, whenever possible, written bids or proposals from at least 3 responsive and responsible suppliers solicited by purchasing services. In reviewing this information, we would hope to learn the state objectives, means, and methodology used to generate this report, and to what extent the final report would be used to characterize the events encompassing the university's responsibility in the Sandusky tragedy. In August, a Freeh team member publicly told the Chronicle of Higher Education that the final document produced from the investigation, quote, was not meant to be used as the sole piece or the larger piece of the NCAA's decision-making. Unfortunately, this report was also used by the Middle States Commission on Higher Education to question the accreditation of Penn State. Also, we would hope to shed some light on the advanced consideration given by investigators to the knowledge that the investigative team would lack subpoena power and the potential inability to interview key figures involved in the events under investigation and its impact on the validity of the report. Finally, we request the release of this information to determine whether or not a breach of the Code of Ethics established by the National Association of Educational Buyers occurred. To Freeh, Sporkin, and Sullivan give advanced knowledge of the potential use of subcontractors to the university. Did they consider subcontractors such as the hiring of Pepper and Hamilton Law Firm may produce a conflict of interest due to the fact that members of the Board of Trustees or the entities with whom they are affiliated already receive legal services from Pepper Hamilton? To put these rumors to rest and to address the many unresolved questions around the hiring of Freeh, Sporkin, and Sullivan, when will you disclose the letter of intent, scope of work, and memo of understanding related to the hiring of Freeh, Sporkin, and Sullivan? Thank you.
Thank you. Alice Pope, an alumna, would like to speak to the NCAA sanctions and the implementation of the Freeh report recommendations. Again, both topics should be addressed within the 3-minute window. Please.
Good afternoon. You pledged to implement the changes directed by the NCAA. Chief among the NCAA criticisms was their allegation of a culture at Penn State that valued football above academics. Do you believe this allegation is true? Have you conducted any inquiries within the university community to evaluate the quality of Penn State's culture? What, if any, deficiencies can you identify? What plans do you have for returning to the NCAA to replace adjustments in the sanctions? And what would you provide to them as evidence that Penn State's culture has improved, especially since all objective indicators have always demonstrated academic excellence, both for athletes and for the university overall? I pose these as open questions for you, and